I'm gonna keep saying that I want to read it. I don't think I'm gonna read it. One thing I'm not gonna do is pay for shipping. I could not have been more wrong. I can't keep hating on the book. You know, I don't want to keep bringing it up. Make sure you're getting in a white read there. Now that's my motivation, to make sure it's as less white as it can be. I did a great job. I do not want to see ethic with other women. I keep saying I'm going to jump in, but I still haven't done it. Second and Charles. Hey, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna be filming this video in two parts. It's all gonna be in the same video, but this first part I'm gonna be going over what I predicted for myself in 2024, my goals, what did I even read out of what I predicted, and then because it is Sunday, I have my hair stuff out, I will be doing my wash and go and going over my predictions and my goals for this year in 2025. So sit down and chill out. Do your own hair. We're gonna start with this notebook of mine. Let's see what I had. Hit 1K on YouTube. That didn't happen. Hit 5K on TikTok. That didn't happen. Hit 2K on Insta. That didn't happen. Score a book sponsorship or partnership. That didn't happen. Read more books by BIPOC authors versus white authors. Check. That I can do. And read my own Kindle books. Yeah, we'll get to it. Listen, YouTube, I love it. Out of YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, YouTube is my favorite. I guess I haven't found all of my peeps just yet, so I'm growing a little slow, but I'm thankful for all of you who are here. I said I wasn't gonna mention this. I made a big girl purchase, and I got me an iPad. My first iPad. I'm using this for YouTube. So far, I'm really loving it. I'm doing all of my YouTube stuff on there. My most recent video that I did was edited on here. I'm liking it. So I'm hoping this is what I needed to really get into my content. For social media at the start of 2024, I had 1,218 on TikTok, 1,419 followers on Instagram, 95 followers on YouTube. At the start of 2025, I had 1,579 TikTok followers. Instagram, I had 1,678. YouTube, I had 351. Most of that hasn't really changed. I think right now, as of Sunday, January 5th, I'm at, I think, 1,580 for TikTok, so I gained one. YouTube, from my recent video, I gained, I guess, 3. I thought it was only 2. But if at the start of 2025 I was at 351, I'm at 354 right now. Go me. As for the book sponsorships, partnerships, honestly, I'm not really interested anymore. If it comes my way, sure, but I'm not seeking it out either. We're gonna hop over to my Instagram account. At the beginning of 2024, I ended up making a post about, you know, my goals and stuff. So we're gonna start with my 2024 predictions. I predicted that my top 5 authors would be Gray Huffington, CCJ, Danielle Allen, Kimberly Brown, and M. Monique. I could not have been more wrong. I actually started at some point during last year with Gray Huffington. It did not work out. CCJ, I read a couple of books. Danielle Allen, I ended up reading, I want to say 2 books. Kimberly Brown, probably about 2 books as well. M. Monique, maybe 1. As far as who my top 5 authors ended up being, Christina Forrest at a whopping 5 books. I ended up reading her entire backlist. I started with The Neighbor Favorite at the beginning of the year. I ended up loving that book, and I just went from there. So I've read every single book of hers. So far, my least favorite of hers is The Partner Plot. My favorite was I Want to Be Where You Are, and I forgot what it's called. I'm gonna have to put them both up. My next author was A. Blossom. I read 4 books. Actually, I didn't really have a top 5. My top author was Christina Forrest, and then like 6 authors were all tied for the second spot because I read 3 books of each. I decided to read 1 more book of A. Blossom. It was one of my last books of the year. It was my second to last, actually. I finished it on December 31st, sometime in the morning. It ended up being my least favorite book of hers to date. I gave that book a 1 star. I did that to myself just so I could put an author in the number 2 spot. We're gonna have to go to my story graph so that I can see everyone that was tied for the 3rd spot. Every author that I've read 3 books of. Tomi Adeyemi, CCJ, M.L. Bash, Keisha Thompson, Kennedy Ryan, Naomi Loud, and Kaylin Barron. I was actually a little surprised by my top 5 authors. Well, I say top 5, but technically top 2. Read half of my owned Kindle books. That did not work at all. I don't even know how, I'm not even gonna count. I'm not sure how many Kindle books I even own. I ended up reading 3 books. 3 books out of my owned Kindle books. A Taste of Sin, On Santa's Lap, and Yours for Now. Stay on top of my reviews. Technically, yes, I stayed on top of my reviews. From January to August, every single book that I read has a review. September to December. September, I have 3 that I didn't do. The thing is, I have stuff written down. I just never like reread it and fixed it up to post. I did stay on top of my reviews, but what I meant was to review every single book that I read, which I did not do. I will surpass my goal of 150 books by reading 200. I was close. I actually didn't even realize that was a prediction of mine. I ended up reading 183. My last prediction on here is that 90% of my books will be by BIPOC authors. Yes, I did reach it. Out of the 183 books that I read, 11 books were by white authors. 172 were by BIPOC authors, which put me at about 93.988% or something. So you could say, you can round it up to 94% of my books being by BIPOC authors, give or take a couple of people. Obviously, I don't want to make assumptions about the race or the ethnicity of an author. Now, the 172 books, there might be 1 or 2, 1 person for sure. I don't think she's white, or she might be half, but she's half of something else, or fully something else. She just doesn't really talk about it. So I did make the assumption, and I did include her in my BIPOC stats, or you know, when I counted. But there are maybe 2 authors that I didn't know, and I did not want to make the assumption because I also don't know what they look like. They don't have pictures of themselves. They're in my white books. So again, out of my 11 white books, there might be 1 or 2 that might be BIPOC. I just don't know. But out of my BIPOC books, obviously I'm Black, so I really want to make sure that I'm prioritizing Black stories written by Black authors. I read 122. If you want to take one out, that 1 person that I was saying that I did include, I included her in my Black books number 122, 121, give or take. I did a great job. Kudos to me. I averaged maybe 1 white book a month. I think there were 3 months that I did not read one. I made up for it in another month. I think there was, let's say, August where I read 2 white books. But even the white books that I did read were diverse in other ways. Some of them did have like LGBTQIA+ rep in them. Last but not least, I want to go over my 24 in 2024, which were 24 books that I really wanted to read last year. I see 7 Days in June, Promise Boys, Amari and the Great Game, and Allegedly. I read only 1 of these. I ended up reading Allegedly. I did finally read a book by Tia Williams. It just wasn't 7 Days in June. I read A Love Song for Ricky Wilde, which I did like. Amari and the Great Game, still haven't touched. And I was very close to reading Promise Boys. Very close. It's in a video of mine. It's not out yet. Okay, we have a bunch. I did read An Island Princess Starts a Scandal. It wasn't my favorite of mine by her. This one is a sapphic romance. It's historical romance. Honestly, wasn't that big of a fan of it. I did not read Blue. I started it. I think I got through like 2 pages, but then I realized it is a standalone, but it's the 2nd book in a series, and I don't do that. I don't read out of order. I ended up reading the 1st book, which was Uncovering Love. I did not read This Could Be Us. I did end up reading Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. I actually had the physical book from the library. I ended up starting it too late, and I could not renew it because someone else already had it on hold, so I had to bring it back. I was maybe 100 pages into it, maybe 50, but I was loving it. I went ahead and just bought it to finish it because I didn't want to wait to get the copy again. and I'm glad I did because I ended up tabbing it so much. My favorite thing about this book was the found family. Learn to Love You. I'm gonna have to buy that book. My library for some reason just cannot get the book. My local Barnes and Noble doesn't have it. We have another, what's it called? Second and Charles? Charles? That ended up taking the place of Books A Million. We do not have a BAM anymore, and I miss it so much. They don't have it either. I just went recently. Maybe I can order from bookshop.org when they do another free shipping, because one thing I'm not going to do is pay for shipping. Dish Best Served Hot. I still have not read this. This is the second book in a series. I think it's called like the Vega Family series or something. The first book is A Proposal They Can't Refuse. It was one of my favorite books of 2023. Taken to Vyrexia. I did not read. I ended up continuing a series by Elizabeth Stevens instead. Tethered Love. I did read a Kimberly Brown this year. I think maybe 2. But it just was not that one. What Are the Odds by, you can't see the name, but it's R.M. Virtues. I did read an R.M. Virtues this year. It was Drag Me Up. I wasn't a fan. It's because it's one of those Greek mythology retelling books. When it comes to retellings, for some reason, I'm not into Greek mythology anymore. I used to eat it up. I don't know what my reason was for not reading that one. What Are the Odds? Butterfly. This, I think I grabbed the right one. This should be the first book in this series by Ashley Antoinette. I keep saying I'm going to jump in, but I still haven't done it. I read Moth to a Flame. I read the Ethics series. Before I can get to this, I still have Christmas with the Okafors or something to read. The one series of hers that I'm not planning on reading is the Prada series. I was supposed to read the Prada series after Moth to a Flame, but before the Ethics series, I did not, and I'm not planning on it because reading the Ethics series, we kind of got a little bit of information from the Prada series, and I'm just not interested anymore. I do not want to see Ethic with other women. No. Next, Blood Debts. I did read Blood Debts. I think it was one of my first books of the year. This is the first book in a series. The second one, Blood Justice, came out sometime in 2024. I did read that one as well. Personally, I preferred Blood Debts. Arsenic and Adobo, I did not get to. That is a cozy mystery. I did read Lizards Hold the Sun. Personally, wasn't a fan. Yours for Now, I did read. I'm smiling because I feel like I keep mentioning that book. I've mentioned it in other videos. I did read it. It was one of my owned Kindle books. It was okay. It took me a while to finish it. All the Right Notes. I did start it, but it was one of my DNFs of the year. Haven't really read much in a while. romances. I used to read it a lot. I had to like take a step back because all of them that I had been reading were by women, which, you know, is fine. I've really been waiting to get into so I can read it by a man, preferably a gay man, or bisexual man, not a cishet straight man. So I wanted to read All the Right Notes. Sadly, I didn't like it. I didn't like the writing. When the Reckoning Comes, I did read. It was a great book. I gave it in a high 4. Restore Me. Honestly, y'all, I just decided like a couple of days ago, I'm gonna keep saying that I want to read it. I don't think I'm gonna read it. I think it's gonna be one of those books where I'm gonna have to hate from outside of the club because I can't get in. Nobody to Love You Better. That was one of my first books of the year. I read it sometime in January. I think Emma Bash is gonna be one of those authors that I go for just short palate cleansers. A full-length novel, The Trouble with Hating You. I did read this author this year. She's the same author, I believe, that wrote A Drop of Venom. I still have not read this book. I've been actively trying to seek it out, but again, my library for some reason cannot get it. My last book on my list was Luca. Luca. Again, I'm not going to get too much into it. It was one of my least favorite books of the year. It was actually number 2. I can't keep hating on the book. You know, I don't want to keep bringing it up. Those were all of my 2024 predictions and goals. Some of them I reached, some of them I didn't. Next up, I'm gonna go do my hair. I use my unbrush. I take 3 clips with me. I section my hair in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But the 2 in the front get their individual clips. The 2 in the back get 1 clip. So I use 3. I'm actually clip it on my shirt so I don't have to worry about carrying it. I like to use gloves when I do my hair. This is the vinyl disposable one. This one's from Walmart. We do not shop at Walmart anymore, so I'm gonna have to figure out where I can get these. Every other week I do something different. I always shampoo my hair. One week I do a regular conditioner, and then the other week I do a deep conditioner, and then I keep repeating it. Last week I did my deep conditioner, so this week I'm just going to be doing a regular conditioner. I use the same brands, honestly. I don't switch the different lines either. I'm using kind of the same products. I have Camille Rose, the one by Tia, one by Taraji, and As I Am. The reason why I have so many regular conditioners is because once I get to about this much, I go and buy another one because I do not want to run out. But I'll probably use Tia's because I haven't used it in a while. I want to start back using a clarifying shampoo once a month. I'm going to try and do it the first weekend of the next month, and that is this weekend, January 5th. I wash my hair on Sundays. This will be my second time using Design Essentials clarifying shampoo. I would normally use the one by Camille Rose. It's already in the bathroom, so I'm going to bring that back in here. Then once I get out, I use one product to style my hair, and I only own 2 different ones. Curls one, very sticky. My favorite at the moment is Talia Wajid Green Apple and Aloe with coconut. Oh, and I do have one deep conditioner. And then I'll come back and I will go over my 2025 predictions and some of the books that I want to read. I do not own a spray bottle. I haven't had a spray bottle for years. Check the hair, check the hair. Is it curt? I don't know what the bag look like. Wait. Boop, boop, boop. Put my gloves back on. I hate wet hair. When I do this, I don't have no earrings, no necklace, nothing. I don't want nothing to get wet. It's killing me to not have on a robe. I'm going to section it off into 3 sections. 2 in the front, other side. Then I start with my kitchen. So I grab a little piece in the back. And this is all one big section. And then I'll just grab so that hopefully I don't have a big part in the back. Talia Wajid today. Let's get into my goals for 2025. I'm not sure how I'm gonna measure that, but I want to read more and stay off of my phone. What I mean by that is I'm not talking about necessarily the number of books, because the number of books is fine, but what I mean is when I read, I'll read for about 30 minutes, but I guarantee you within those 30 minutes, I've picked up my phone probably 5 times. When I sit down to read for however long, I want to be reading. One way that I do this while my phone is charging, I'll be reading my book. And I'm also trying to convince myself the more that I stay focused, the faster I can hopefully finish the book. And not to really get it over quick, but I won't take 4 days to read the same book, you know? Let's talk numbers. Let's talk subscribers, followers. I am going to bring some of my goals from last year back to this one. I want to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I have a good feeling about this year. I'm going to twist this one. Not all the way. It's not going to be a full twist. But I'm just going to twist the part that's like touching the nape of my neck. I don't like wet hair on me. And I tend to sweat. And I don't scrunch nothing. It's going to revert back on its own. I would like to hit 3,000 on Instagram. So I've moved up from what I had last year. I just have to, you know, stay consistent. I do not have a... Oh, wrong section. I do not have a goal for TikTok. We don't know what's going on with TikTok. We'll know, I guess, on the 19th. I would like to hop on trends early. And when I say trends, I'm talking more so on Instagram. They have different types of trends that go on. I will include a couple. As far as what I'm reading, I want to up my percentage of what I said last year. So last year I wanted 90% of what I read to be by BIPOC authors. This year I want to up it to 95. I mean 90 anything. 90%, 93%, 98%. That's really good. And you know what's really encouraging me this time? One, I'm loving what I'm reading. But seeing that stuff about Fable really burn me up. Make sure you're getting in a white read there. Now that's my motivation. To make sure it's as less white as it can be. Stay on top of my reviews. And when I say it this time, I mean to review every single book that I've read. It really helps me out, especially if I'm making a YouTube video, because sometimes it's weeks before I get to actually record a clip, and by that time I've long forgotten what I've read, and having a review really helps me out. My number goal for how many books I read will probably not change. I like the 150 goal. Ooh, that's a big section. I never talk about the page count, but I do have a page count goal. My goal for last year was 50,000 and I did reach it. I surpassed it. I think that's a good enough goal for me to have. As far as what books that I want to read, just like I did my 24 and 2024, I did do one for 2025. I posted about it already on Instagram, so I'm just going to include the picture. Nice, nice, nice. Yes. Those are kind of all the goals that I have. Not too much. I don't want to do too much. You know, I want to make sure that I can obviously reach my goals as well. I think consistency is going to play a huge part this time. Let's jump into my predictions. Number one, I think this is going to be the year of reading the catalogs and the backlist of a bunch of authors. 2024 was apparently the year of the new releases. I never said that. I didn't count. I'm gonna put it up somewhere. But last year was the year of reading new releases. I want to make sure I don't have no part in the back. My biggest issue is that when I do my hair, I tend to bring everything to the front. So then it messes up the section in the back and it shows a big old clunk of hair missing. So yeah, so I think this is going to be the year of reading authors' backlist. Some authors that come to mind are S.A. Cosby. I've read 2 books now. I read Razorblade Tears last year, and I just read Blacktop Wasteland. Keisha Thompson is, I think I mentioned her at the beginning of this video somewhere. I think I'm predicting she's going to be my top author of the year. I think so. I have been very pleased with every single book of hers that I've read so far. Some others would be like Danielle Allen, Kimberly Brown. Now with them, I'm not going to complete their backlist because they have so many books. I swear to you, Kimberly Brown publishes like every month, every other month. She publishes very often. For the authors that have a bunch of books in their catalog, I would like to make a dent in their catalog. Some other authors, Tan and Tales, I was keeping up and then I stopped. Sean. And then for those authors who I have read most of their books or all of their books, I just want to start to keep up with them. So Christina Forrest was my top author. She has a book coming out, I guess, like in February. Jessie Q. Santanto. She's one of my favorite authors as well. I also think, book-wise, this is going to be the year of reading series. Whether it be continuing series, finishing series, or just starting a new one and getting as far into it as possible. The number one series that comes to mind, I don't think she creates booktube videos, but she does create other content, so I'm going to include her profile picture. She recently talked about this series. She described it as kind of being like Criminal Minds, and Criminal Minds is my favorite, and it's a series by Eric LaSalle. Some other duologies and trilogies that come to mind: The Blood Gift, The Ending Fire, the Sun Bear duology, and also continued series like the one by Natalie Kanya, which I did mention. I would like to also start some that I still haven't started yet, just like the Alien series by Elizabeth Stevens. I always have trouble with this fishtail area. I sweat so much right there. It never stays defined. As far as genres go, I did a really good job last year of reading different kinds of genres. I explored new ones. I would like to do the same this year. Not necessarily, I probably shouldn't say new genres. Making sure that I'm reading many books from different genres instead of like 5 books from this one, 10 books from the other. Like, I want to make sure that my genres are equal. Obviously, I'm going to most likely have one genre that's more than the other, which would be romance. But I want to make sure that my other genres are kind of equal as well, like equal fantasy, equal historical fiction. I really want to explore more. A lot of books that I read last year that I did enjoy were historical fiction, with the exception of romance. Honestly, I don't think I'm into historical romance. I've read a couple. I've loved some, I've disliked some. It honestly, I guess, depends. But some books that I did enjoy that come to mind, one of my favorites of the year was The Color of a Lie by Kim Johnson. Oh, I would also like to read her entire backlist as well. Lastly, last piece and last prediction of mine, I'm gonna get through most of my owned physical books. I think so. I think this is gonna be the year because I think YouTube has a lot to do with it. I'm kind of planning a lot of my content, and some of the videos that I'm thinking of, I'm gonna base it around some of the books that I own. And the biggest video that I'm working on right now, it's gonna be a series where I'm reading, it's kind of like the alphabet challenge, so reading A through Z in books. I've already started working on it. I mean, that's a ton of books. That's 26 books. The first video that I'm working on, which is gonna have A through E, is gonna be 5, but maybe I might work on a video and I'm not feeling reading 5 books. Maybe I'll read 3, you know. So I'll aim for 3 to 5. I would prefer to read 5 books in the video. But yeah, that is it. See, I don't like, this is a good clump. This is, wait, I don't like when my hair is like that. When I have these little bitty pieces, this needs to be clumped to something else. It can't just be by itself because my hair does not last when it's like that. If it's, because then it dries very stringy looking. So I need to add that to a piece of hair. I like these kinds of clumps. The problem is when this dries, most people would probably separate that. I don't be separating nothing. I don't like separating my curls. I like to leave them as clumped as possible, which is why when I do my hair, I like to make sure that I'm doing medium sections to where when it does dry, I don't necessarily have to unclump them. Because I hate when you get to the end and it gets caught and then it knots up and then now you have a frizzy end. Hate that. Let's see what the back looks like if I did a decent job. I can't see. Hopefully, they might have a little bitty section. Like maybe right here, I don't know. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below one of your goals for 2025 or one of your predictions for 2025. And I'll see you next week. Bye!